If you've spent any time online lately looking at real estate or mortgages, you've probably noticed something. There is no shortage of posts, videos, ads, and reels talking about mortgage hacks, secret programs, special incentives, and creative ways to buy a home. Some of them sound pretty incredible. Some of them sound almost too good to be true. And some of them leave buyers feeling excited, hopeful, and sometimes a little confused. Recently, I received an email from a mortgage broker in my office, Kyle Miller, that really stuck with me because it perfectly summed up what's happening right now in the market. And I thought this is something that buyers need to hear. Not because these programs don't exist, but because understanding how they actually work can make the difference between a smooth buying experience and a very frustrating one. So today I want to walk you through what that email said, why this is becoming such a big issue, how social media plays into expectations, and how you can approach mortgage programs the smart way. So if you are thinking about buying, especially if you're a first-time home buyer, this conversation is going to give you a lot of clarity. So get comfortable, grab a coffee, and let's get right into it. The core message from this email was simple but powerful. Right now, there's a huge amount of content online talking about special mortgage programs. Things like first-time buyer incentives, grants, low down payment options, shared equity programs, rate buy downs, and creative financing structures. And here is the important part. Many of these programs are absolutely real, but they come with a very specific criteria. And what happens is a buyer sees a post and thinks, oh, that sounds like me. They get excited, they start imagining their purchase. They mentally include that program in their plan. But then when they actually speak to a lender or a mortgage broker, they find out they don't qualify. And that's where frustration comes in. Not because anyone did anything wrong, but because expectations were set before verification. And here we're talking about the social media effect. We have to remember something about social media. Its job is to capture your attention. It's not designed to walk you through a full financial assessment. So you might see a post that says, buy with 5% down, get help from a government program, lower your monthly payment with this strategy. And while those statements might be technically true, they're missing the context that determines whether they apply to you. Because financing isn't one size fits all. Two buyers with the exact same purchase price can have completely different approvals depending on their income, their debt, their credit score, job stability, the type of job they have, and even the type of property they're buying. So the issue isn't that the information is wrong, it's that it's incomplete. And incomplete information can lead to assumptions. And then what happens? Buyers get attached to the idea. Buying a home is one of the most emotional decisions people will likely make in their lifetime. It represents stability, security, and also a milestone. So when someone sees a program that suddenly makes the idea of buying feel achievable, they connect with that program emotionally. They start thinking, maybe this is my chance. And that emotional connection happens long before the financial verification. So when it turns out that the program doesn't apply to them, it can feel like something was taken away, even though it was never confirmed to begin with. And that emotional swing can be exhausting for buyers. So what does this look like in real life? Let me give you a typical scenario. A buyer sees a post about a special program that helps with the down payment support. They reach out, really excited. They start browsing homes. They start picturing themselves moving into this beautiful home. Then they speak with a lender or mortgage broker, and they learn that their income is slightly above the threshold, or the property price is outside the program limits, or their debt ratio just doesn't fit in this program. And suddenly, that plan has to change. Now, instead of moving forward confidently, they feel like they're starting all over again. And that is not a good feeling. And this is exactly the situation this email was talking about. Not to discourage buyers, but to protect them from unnecessary disappointment. So, as realtors, we're often the first point of contact when someone starts thinking about buying their next home. And while we're not the ones approving mortgages, we play a huge role in helping buyers navigate those expectations. Our job isn't to promise financing solutions. Our job is to help clients understand the possibilities while encouraging them to confirm details with a qualified professional. A lot of times, it's one of the first questions we ask. Have you been pre approved? Have you talked to a mortgage broker? Because confidence in your financing is what makes everything so much easier. Making offers, negotiating, competing in multiple offer situations, planning timelines. When financing is clear, the entire process becomes a lot less stressful. Trust me, I've seen this before. When your financing is in place, the home buying process is so much easier. Now, let's talk about how to best frame these programs. One thing I really liked about the email was how it suggested talking about these programs. Instead of presenting them as something a buyer will get, it framed them as something that might be available depending on our situation. And that shift in language is huge because it keeps the conversation hopeful but realistic. It acknowledges that options exist without creating false certainty. And that's exactly how buyers should approach any financing strategy, as a possibility to explore, not a guarantee to rely on. So, what should buyers actually do? If you're seeing a mortgage program online, here's the smartest approach. First, treat every program as a starting point for a conversation. Second, connect with a mortgage professional early in the process, not after you've already fallen in love with a home. Third, run your numbers thoroughly. I mean, thoroughly. You have to make sure these numbers work for you and your family. Understand your payment range, your comfort level, and your approval conditions, because the strongest buyers in today's market are not the ones who know the most headlines. They're the ones who understand their own numbers and are ready to pull the trigger. So now let's talk about expectation versus reality. The gap between expectations and reality is where most real estate stress lives. When expectations are grounded in real data, the process feels smooth and predictable. When expectations are based on assumptions, every new piece of information feels like a surprise. And surprises in real estate often means delays, adjustments, or even missed opportunities. So the goal isn't to ignore mortgage content online. The goal is to use it as inspiration, then verify it with professionals who can apply it to your specific situation. These mortgage programs are valuable tools. They help people enter the market, they create opportunities, they can absolutely make homeownership more accessible. But like any tool, their effectiveness depends on how well they fit the situation. And the smartest move you can make as a buyer is to replace assumptions with clarity as early as possible. So if you're thinking about buying and want a clear picture of what your options really look like, the best step you can take is to have a conversation with the right professionals and build a plan based on facts, not headlines. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. If you found it helpful, feel free to share it, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for more straight talk on real estate. I will see you in the next video, but in the meantime, if you have any questions about how to find a great mortgage professional, make sure to give me a quick call, or you can always email me at jeanricher@jeanricher.com. Merci beaucoup et bonne journée.